21 minutes after the hour, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Thank you for listening. I got an email a couple of weeks ago from my good friend Hank Adler, with whom I wrote the Fair Tax Fantasy, and he said, keep an eye on Florida and keep an eye on Adam Hasner. And I had to tell Hank I already knew who Adam Hasner was because of his sponsorship of the Marco Rubio campaign. Adam Hasner was the majority leader of the Florida State House in the Florida State House for 6 years, and now he's thinking about running for Senate down there. Adam, welcome to the program. It's great to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Hugh.
Let's set this up first. Tell people a little bit about Adam Hasner.
Well, as you mentioned, I served as the majority leader in the state legislature for 4 years. Marco Rubio had tapped me to serve in that position. I'm a unapologetic conservative who, even when it wasn't too popular, I was the one who was criticized for being too conservative, and as Charlie Crist even called me, sometimes too ideological. But I was there even when it wasn't popular to be a conservative, and now I'm traveling the state and having a conversation with the people of Florida about the future direction of this country. And I think I share the frustration and anger. And so we can't begin to turn America around until we get back control of the United States Senate and until we make Barack Obama a one-term president.
Now, Senator Bill Nelson is sitting there, the incumbent from Florida. I've never understood. I know the astronaut stuff and all that good stuff, and he's a nice guy, but he's out of step, isn't he, with Florida's, fundamental political orientation?
He is, but he's been able to capitalize on his looks and as well as coming off as a conservative. And you just can't do that anymore. He's been famous for going into one room and saying one thing and going into another and saying another. And you can't do that with the speed of information anymore. And so he can't cover up his voting record for Obamacare and for stimulus and for the bailouts or for his positions on cap and trade and card check. He's vulnerable, and I think it is a very important race for us to win in order to get back the majority in the United States Senate.
Well, it clearly is. If we get Florida, we'll definitely be at 51 and probably more. If we don't get it, it could easily be a divided Senate, maybe at 49. So, Adam Hasner, when are you going to decide if you're going to go or not?
Well, we've opened up an exploratory committee. We haven't made an official decision as to timing, but I will tell you we have been so encouraged with the feedback and support we've been getting as we've been traveling the state, meeting with conservative activists and Tea Party groups and 9/12 groups. And I hope to be able to announce very shortly when we are going to make an official declaration for our campaign. And people can join us. People can follow me on Facebook right now at Adam Hasner, or follow me at Twitter at Adam Hasner, or go to adamhasner.com and support our message of being the solid conservative in this race.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, I had Josh Mandel on. I want Josh to run for Senate up in Ohio against Sherrod Brown, and I was trumpeting him as, he'd be the only Jewish Republican. Now I've met both of you. We might have two Jewish Republicans running for Senate. That would be like a new club.
Well, right now, Eric Cantor's the only Jewish Republican in the entire Congress, and so he could certainly use some company. But I think that just goes to the point that I have proven that even when it's not popular, I've taken the positions that I stand on principle. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm strong on national security issues and on the U.S.-Israel relationship, but I'm also a social conservative. And so I believe that those three pillars are intertwined. Our American prosperity, our strong national security, and our foundational Judeo-Christian principles are interwoven and inseparable. And my message is the same no matter where I go. And as I like to tell people, that if I'm able to stand up to, both my parents were Jewish Democrat school teachers from Brooklyn.
Wow.
And so it wasn't always easy being a lifelong Republican when I turned 18 years old, but I grew up during the presidency of Ronald Reagan. And so I believe in that same America is safer when America is stronger spirit, and certainly believe in that same American exceptionalism and can-do spirit. And so if I can take on the dinner conversation at my table with my family, and certainly against many in the Jewish community, I know I can go up to Washington and make a difference.
Now, Adam Hasner, obviously Florida is always associated with the senior citizen population. Now, I spent a lot of time promoting the Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC. They're over at HughHewitt.com, instead of trying to build up an alternative to AARP. How do you play with the classic senior citizen community in Florida?
Well, we have to, and I applaud what you're doing, because if you've already seen it, I'm sure, and others know it, AARP is already beginning the lobbying efforts against the meaningful reforms that we have to have for our entitlement spending programs, which are unsustainable and certainly a part of our long-term fiscal stability in this country, making sure we can make those changes. We just need to go out and tell the truth. And I think the American people are ready for it. As I talk to these groups, they are more educated and more energized than ever before. And they want people in 2012. 2010 was just the very beginning. 2012 is when we send in the reinforcements. And they are ready for people who are going to tell them exactly what the challenges are that we face. And more importantly, the fact is that these aren't obstacles that we can't overcome, that the small government solutions and the new ideas that people are talking about already for reforming Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid are a better way for our country to move forward and put us on that path to prosperity. I'm talking with Adam Hasner. He may be a candidate for the United States Senate in Florida, former majority leader of the Republican delegation in the House of Florida. Now, Adam, I also had Governor Rick Scott on, Florida Governor Scott, a couple weeks ago. We were talking about health care, and obviously it's one of his hot-button issues, and I'm pushing the Health Care Compact, which is healthcarecompact.org, to get the states involved. Again, Bill Nelson voted for this thing. Is this an issue? Is it going to still have legs in 2012? It certainly is, because not only does it take away individual choice, and not only does it have the unconstitutional mandate, Obamacare that is, but it also adds to our national debt. It also adds to our deficits. And I think that people are looking for the leaders who are willing to talk about what we need to do in terms of stopping the spending, cutting spending, stopping the borrowing, and balancing the budget, and repealing Obamacare and defunding it first and repealing Obamacare is what we need to do. So I think it's going to be a big issue, especially as it relates to the seniors with the changes that were made on Medicare. And so I think we certainly have the facts on our side, and we need to do a better job of communicating as Republicans and as conservatives what our consumer-driven health care solutions look like. Now, Adam, last question. We got about a minute. I'm going to come back and play parts of the president's speech, and if people get preempted, they'll hear it live. If not, I'll play a little bit tape delay so everyone hears it. Obviously, he's going to be talking about Syria tonight. In the New York Times this weekend, they were talking about Syria as a partner for peace with Israel. If you're in the United States Senate, we need clarity on this. Syria is the enemy of every good-natured and well-meaning person in the Middle East, aren't they? Not only that, but Syria represents a direct threat to Israel, and we have a president who is putting more pressure on Israel to make concessions. That's not the type of leadership we need from the White House. We need a strong relationship for our only ally and the only liberal democracy in the Middle East. And I don't know what the president's going to say tonight, but I certainly expect that his speech is crafted more to be a cover-up for his silence and his lack of clarity over the last few days, and it's more about his own political interests as opposed to what's in America's best interests. Adam Hasner, a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to talking to you again as the campaign unfolds. Adam Hasner, HASNER.com. Get a bird's eye view of what's going on down in Florida.